Hello everybody, and let's continue. Last time I talked about the absolute side, and I want to add that actually on this side, except this absolute part, that is the title, every other categories, the other four should move to this side, because they belong to the relative side. Okay, I just want to add that because I need this part, so I put it here, and also thinking about the ontology, put them all together, and well, the word ontology is a misleading word too. Later on, I'll explain why. All right, so this side, think about this, is only absolute, nothing else. All others belong to this side, okay? I just want to add that. And so today I'm going to talk about the relative side. And relative side is basically the side of the instance. And you can also think about any other, the four categories except the absolute is considered the instance too. You can think that way, all right? And how did I get the idea of the instance? And let me explain. And normally, whatever you do, it will benefit from it. And except that the paradox thing, the conscious thinking paradox, is the one source of this philosophy called Instancology. Another source is from my work. You know, when Einstein started this relativity theory, he was a clerk in the Swiss government patent office. What he's doing is he is in charge of the local reports. When at the different locations, the locomotives coming to the station, they have different clock. They want to report that to unify the timer for these trains. And so Einstein's work is related to how to manage them. And from that, you can imagine it inspired him to have the idea of the patent, the idea of relativity, right? Okay. So when I have been working as a programmer for many years, and in the fields of IT, basically. I did 90% of the work as a programmer's job, and the other part related to whatever IT requires. And if you program, and there is a new concept. Well, actually, it's not new anymore. It's become prevalent. It's called object-oriented programming. Back like 20 years ago, and the programming is called procedural programming. And later on, when we switched to this object-oriented programming. All right? Okay, let me write it here so to make it clear. All right? One is called procedural programming. All right? All right? The other one is called object-oriented programming. All right? Whatever. So, OOP. All right? That's the idea of programming. And this procedural programming is basically linear. It's just one line goes on, and from beginning to end, that's it. But for the object-oriented programming, it's sort of like waiting things to happen. You have an interface, you are waiting there. Whoever jumps first, you deal with it. Like when you go to the playland, you have a hammer. Whoever a frog coming out, you hit the head. It's like that, all right? Okay, but what I want to point out is in this object-oriented programming, you use classes to do things, all right? But creating classes is a programmer's job. The classes are used to organize a function for this program. Only with the program, the computer can run program to perform some functions like word processing, Excel spreadsheet, or PowerPoint displaying, something like that. Okay, so class or object. When an class is launched as instance, it's called object. Okay, I just make sure if you are not familiar with the programming terms, jargons. Okay, you write a class, you define it, what the class will do. And later on when you use it, you just use that function to get it out, to make it work. That's basically the idea is. All right, you write a class, normally it's something like create class, well, let's say solve world problems. All right, you create this class called solve the world problems. All right, then when you launch it, you write a sentence like this: solve world programs. You need to put something like new here, and this you need use a object or string at the beginning. Let's say V, whatever, victory. All right, everything like that. Okay, so you launch it. You draw from the definition. That's a basic idea. I don't want to go details into too many of the jargons or something. I just want you to know that in launching this class, it's equal to make a life of it. Because computers is basically the same as artificial intelligence. They are all depending on program to run. All right. The heart of the program is called class or objects. All right. That is. And I want you to know that in a program, or in a class to be exact, it has several basic functions. First, as I said, a definition. And the second, it must have resources to draw from, to process it. And the third one, it must have memories or storage place, like your computer, right? Okay. Number 4, at least it should have a garbage collection. All right. That is, after the finished work, it will shake off all the useless things and reorganize it, then make it work ready for tomorrow. And I think that's also the function of our dreams too. When you experience everything during the day, at night when you are sleeping, your brain starts to have a dream to clear everything on your mind, to get it ready for tomorrow. So if you don't have a good sleep for several days, your brain doesn't have the function of cleaning out. It's too garbage stuffed in your head. You got a headache. You cannot have a clear mind and anymore. So your brain stops functioning. That's a problem. All right. So let's look at the class thing again. Definition is what function or what it does. That's the definition part. Resources, like, well, let's say it has electricity, right? It's 1, 0 going back and forth. I'll say let's say a car. How to make a car engine run? It needs gasoline, right? Need lubrication, the lubricating oil. That's the resources, right? The same for computer, right? It has need electricity to run, right? At least, right? And memory, memory is sort of like after processing, where do they put the result of that processing? And later on, they'll keep going and to finish the rest of it or connect them together. That's called storage place or memory. All right. The garbage collection I already explained. Basically, throwing out everything and collect back the memory or whatever used resources or something like that. All right. So that's a basic idea of instance or class. All right. When a class is created, it makes an object. That object is called instance. From here, exactly, I get the idea. I got the idea. Because a class or object actually it's alive. It's a living thing, right? In AI, we know artificial intelligence, many machines try to learn to imitate what life is or what's understanding. A lot of AI workers are trained that way to make them look like a human being, like a robots or something, right? They try to imitate people's behavior. That's the idea. So, but think about instance this way, the object this way. Actually, they are the world. That is, they are the function. What we create is not a fact, not a case, as Wittgenstein said, as Bertrand Russell understands it. It's a fact. The world is a fact. It's a case. Instancology tells you it's not. It's a function. The result of function, you can think about it as a fact, but it's better to be described as a function. Why? Because of the dimensions involved. For instancology or instance, there are 5 dimensions in this area. There are time, space, of course, and what else? 3 more. One is mathematics, another is logic, the last one is psychology, from a human mind point of view to see it. So 5 dimensions. So if you write it as a function of the world, everything, whatever Bertrand Russell, Wittgenstein believes, can be included as a subset of this instancology. In other words, I can write like this. Fx something. We know it's a function, right? Okay, here it means time, s means space. I put the parameter of time and space, they will be equals fact, a case in Bertrand Russell's words, or a case in Wittgenstein's word. So that's the idea. The world is no longer a fact, a reality you want to chase for. It's a function. The function with its 5 parameters put into it, it will be fact. it will be the case if you want to. So that's the idea of the instance expanding into every field, every part of the world. Everything, as long as it is or it's being, it must be a function. And later on, I'll go into details. The function is the thing. The function, the definition is the thing. They are the same. And that will be something later on, I'll say that. All right? Okay, for this part, I'll stop here, and next time I'll talk more about the features of this new understanding of our world. Okay? So now you should have the clear idea. Whatever we know can be divided into two parts. All right? 99% is the relative part. We were born into this part. We are thrown into this part. As Heidegger said, the thrownness is this part. The time is the horizon. The horizon. I was thinking about the company too much. They did too many ads in my head. Okay, the horizon of time, the human being, is all on this part. All right? As long as you were born as a child, you were in this part, relative part. But the relative part has its birth defects. It's limited. It has its own bad part, whatever, restrictions. So, for inquiry, at the spirit of this inquiry of philosophy, now we have the absolute part. That is go beyond the relative part. In other words, the relative part with its something and something else, or being versus nothing, it needs a basis, needs a background, needs something out of a relativity, out of a relative parts. That must be the absolute part. And also a trick is language cannot say it. Language is something too. So it has defects. As Wittgenstein said, the world has its defects, the language has defects. So when you cannot express it clearly, you better stop. But you can stop, but can you stop feeling it? Can you stop intuiting it? Of course you cannot. You cannot say it clearly. Actually, it's not supposed to let you say it. Because when you say it, you cannot say it clearly. You can never describe something in that. You are one part of it. So probably you heard the story. One fish is traveling from one direction, another fish is coming. The other fish asks this fish, is the water cold on the other side? And this fish says, well, I don't feel any cold. But what is water? So it tells you the same thing. You are in it, you don't know it. You must jump out of it. You are in relative things, you don't know relative things. You don't know relativity until you come to absolute. There's nothing. Well, actually, you cannot even say nothing. Because you intuitively find it in some other thing. I call it Wu Xing. It's a sort of Oriental epistemology, but I modified it. I gave you more meaning to it. All right? Okay, so Today, let me stop here, and next time we'll talk more about the rest of it. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.